Hey y'all, hey, and welcome to Drawing Conclusions with me, Tristyn B. If this is your first time coming here, thank you so much for joining me. Like I said, my name is Tristyn B. I like to come here every Friday and discuss a true crime story with you guys while I paint a masterpiece. If you've been here before, then you know that this is the first time that I've actually been able to, you know, do the painting part correctly. Last time we had a lot of technical difficulties, but this time I prepared more, and yeah, we're going to do what my vision has been this entire time. So, my first two cases that I did were like fairly recent cases, well, very, very recent cases, focusing on the victim in order to get, exposure or word out for the victim, in order to get justice. This next case is going to be exactly the same. It's a very, very, very recent case, and there's a lot of controversy, rumors, what have you, swirling around it. Essentially, because it's a child that killed another child, and so there's people saying that that he should be charged as an adult. Others, they are taking his side because he is a child. It's a lot, and there's a lot of rumors and like misinformation out there. So yeah, today our case is about Tristyn Bailey. Let's get into it. Okay, so Tristyn Bailey is a seventh grade student at Patriot Oaks Academy in St. Augustine, Florida. She lives in the quiet, well, unfortunately, she lived in a quiet area of St. Johns County where she was a member of First Coast cheerleading community. Now, she already had won like several awards. The other cheerleaders and her cheer coaches, um, say that she was a great cheerleader. And some sources did say that she was already a cheer captain, which is a very big accomplishment for a seventh grader. I know I was never a cheerleader or anything, but I know usually the cheer captain is an older student, an eighth grader. So to be chosen to be cheer captain as a seventh grader shows, one, your amount of skill, in cheering, and two, her leadership ability. The other girls listened to her, and she was able to lead the cheerleaders, which is awesome. On Sunday, May 9th, which was Mother's Day, Tristyn was last seen around the Dublin Amenity Center at about 1 a.m. By 10 o'clock the next morning, her mother had reported her missing. So, very short period of time. Immediately, because she's a child and the circumstances around her going missing, the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office sent out notice on social media, through the news, what have you, for anybody and everybody to keep a lookout for her. If you see her, let us know, type thing. She was immediately thought to be in danger, because in most cases, or in a lot of cases, when you have a missing person, a missing teenager, really, they will be like, oh, well, they just, they ran away, they went up with their friends, blah, 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 something such as that, and they'll, like, take their time looking for them because they, like, are hoping they'll come back. But in this case, the police did what they should do every time, and they went ahead and started searching for her and had the community on lookout for Tristyn. Now, while the entire community, everybody was out looking for Tristyn, one of her neighbors happened to find her body near a retention pond right in her neighborhood. So she was very, very close to home. The following day, which was May 10th, the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office held a press conference, and they announced that 14-year-old Aiden Fucci had been arrested and charged with Tristyn's murder. And they didn't release like many facts or details about about Aiden or Tristyn, like exactly what had happened, her cause of death, anything like that. They just simply said that Aiden had been charged and he was in custody. He was taken to a juvenile detention center, where he is still being held. Now, Aiden Fucci was also a student at Patriot Oaks Middle School, Patriot Oaks Academy, excuse me. He was also a student there, and he's lived in the same neighborhood that Tristyn lived in. And several students that knew them both stated that they were friends. So, you know. But on that Monday, directly after she went missing and her body was found, that is the only information they gave about Aiden. Just that they were friends, reportedly, and that, excuse me, they had gone to the same middle school and were also lived in the same neighborhood. And the only difference was that Tristyn was a 7th grader while Aiden was enrolled in the 8th grade at this academy. So on Tuesday morning, Fucci appeared for his very first court appearance, where he was charged with second-degree murder. Circuit Judge Michael Orfinger ordered that Fucci remain in the juvenile detention center for at least 21 days, or until they increase his okay, or until they extend his detention by the courts. So he has to stay in there for 21 days, or until they extend it, which they're pushing to have it extended until, it's time for him to go to court. He doesn't have like a bail or bond or anything like that set, because we are dealing with a minor. So he's in the juvenile system, which is a bit different and varies state to state. Following his initial court appearance, the sheriff's office announced that Tristyn had been stabbed to death. They didn't release like how many times she had been stabbed or any precise details. The sheriff did say that she was stabbed a horrific amount of times, which leads you to believe that it was a pretty horrible scene. You can only imagine what it means to be stabbed a horrific amount of time. It can't be anything good, as far as I'm concerned. And especially for, you can say, a 14-year-old boy. This is something a 14-year-old boy did to a 13-year-old girl. It's like she was stabbed a horrific amount of times. It's just very, very appalling. Also, the reason why they want him to stay in that detention center, if like he can do something like this at 14, imagine what else he's going to be capable of. Another reason why he needs, in my opinion, I do think that he needs to be tried as an adult. Because if you're doing a horrific crime like this at 14, like, I'm almost 30. I've never thought about stabbing somebody a horrific amount of times, and I wouldn't have ever imagined, you know what I'm saying, that being my train of thought at 14. It's beyond me. Oh, and I didn't mention this earlier, but our picture today is of a cheerleader in honor of Tristyn, because, as I said, she was a cheerleader. It was something that was very important to her. Many of the pictures that I saw of Tristyn while I was researching this case were of her in her cheerleading uniform or with her cheer squad. So you could tell it was something that she was really, really into, something that she loved to do. So that's why I decided to do this picture of a cheerleader today in honor of her. Y'all, I know. Again, I did prepare better for this, but I didn't. I still haven't yet to like practice painting while talking, which I should have, because I did realize how hard it was to do last time, even though the video got messed up. And yet here I am again. extra ugly. But anywho, the chief medical examiner ruled Tristyn's death as a homicide. Of course, she was stabbed a horrific amount of times. It definitely wouldn't be an accident. The chief medical examiner ruled Tristyn's death as a homicide. He stated that the homicide was caused by sharp force trauma by stabbing. The details are said to be disturbing and mostly being kept confidential because it is a ongoing investigation. It is still very early into the investigation, excuse me. So they don't want to do anything that is going to like mess up prosecution, anything that's going to affect getting this child convicted for this murder. So, dang. Let me get a match, y'all. Okay. So this is a quote. We've got to keep as many of the facts of this case out of the public realm to ensure the integrity of the investigation and ensure a proper prosecution for justice and accountability in this case. That was stated by the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office Director, Howard Cole. He is the person that gave the press conference that was held on Monday following Tristyn's murder. So he was the one that gave the initial press conference. The sheriff's office also noted that Tristyn had been found with her clothes on. They said there were no signs that she had been sexually assaulted, though there are many rumors floating around that she had been raped and killed. That does not seem to be the case. During his interview with investigators, Fucci changed his story multiple times, which of course caused him to be a suspect. But it's not clear if he actually confessed to killing Tristyn or if he just changed his story. They did say that he made several admissions that caused them to believe that he was guilty, but they never directly said that he confessed to killing her. While they were doing their investigation, they did come across like surveillance video, CCTV video from the center that they walked past when they were walking. So the video did show two teenagers, which they identified as Tristyn and Aiden, walking down Sandalstone. So yeah, they did identify two teenagers walking down Sandalstone Avenue around 1:45 a.m. And they were able to identify those two people as Tristyn and Aiden. So they saw them walk past this center on the video footage, both walking together. And then a short while later, at about 3:27 a.m., Aiden was on camera walking back, the other direction that they had previously come from. But Tristyn was nowhere to be found. It was only Aiden coming back in that direction, and he was carrying a pair of shoes in his hand, which seems to be odd. While he was in the interrogation room with his mother, when the officers left out, he stated to her that he was carrying his shoes in his hand because they hurt his feet. So he decided to carry them. Y'all, one thing, I feel like I paint slow. And, ooh, I'm too old to be sitting on my knees. Can y'all still see me? Okay. Ooh, I ain't got that mega knees, y'all. I gotta say, crisscross applesauce like the kids. But anywho, so they did see on social media, on Snapchat to be exact, that Aiden posted a picture while he was in the back of the police car. Being that he's a minor, and at the time, I honestly don't know why they didn't handcuff him. The sheriff didn't really give a reason. It was just stated that he was not handcuffed. I was gonna say because he wasn't a threat, but I mean, he's a murderer. He's clearly a threat. But anywho, he wasn't handcuffed in the back of the police car. Maybe because he's a minor, but he wasn't handcuffed, and he still had access to his phone. So he took a picture in the back of the police car, and he snapped it, Snapchatted it, what have you, with the quote, with the saying, "Hey guys, has anybody seen Tristyn lately?" How cryptic is that? Like, he's a 14-year-old. This is clearly future serial killer behavior, in my opinion. Like, you're making fun of this person that you just killed, that we know you just killed. Like, it's so creepy and cryptic. I can't even believe that a 14, you know what I'm saying? I just keep a 14-year-old. Like, I know y'all remember being 14. Is this something that you would do? It's unbelievable to me. But anyway, so yes, he Snapchatted pretty much like making fun of the entire situation. Hey guys, anybody seen Tristyn lately? Anyway, so this is not the only like social media trolling that's occurring. There's a lot of social media accounts that are trolling the family, law enforcement, her friends, any and everybody. Aiden also has a lot of supporters. There's a free Aiden hashtag that's going around. I don't think it's like viral or anything, but it is popular where he's from. There's also accounts that are trolling her family, like showing knives and claiming them to be the murder weapon, and just spreading a lot of hate and misinformation. I'm not gonna just like say anything that they're saying because it's very disrespectful, and we are talking about children here. But there are people that are blaming Tristyn for what has happened to her and saying some very mean, rude, and inappropriate things about the entire situation. Like, it's already, it's bad enough that he's making fun of it, but now he has the community members that are on his side doing the same thing, and it's very disheartening because somebody lost their life here, and it's not fun and games. And even worse than that, there is a 15-year-old boy from Tennessee who's actually being like framed on social media as being a part of this whole thing. He's from Nashville, Tennessee, which is not even where the case takes place. As I said before, it takes place in Florida. This child is from Tennessee. His name is Levi Whitehouse. He had his pictures used in connection with these trolling pages, but he states that he had no clue about the case until one of his friends called him like, "Hey, your pictures are all over social media, and they're saying you killed this Tristyn girl." And it's like he didn't know who she was, didn't know anything about it, because it's still very early in the case, and it's not very national, it's still very local. So he's like, him and his father had to look it up and see exactly what was going on. And not only are they using pictures of him and making statements and whatnot as if like he's speaking and confessing to these murders, they even used a picture of him standing beside one of his good friends' grave, like after he had passed away, to show or prove that he's some kind of demented person that just likes dead bodies or whatnot. I don't know. I don't really know what the thought process was behind that, but yeah, in the efforts for the Aiden supporters to get the heat off of Aiden Fucci, they are framing this 15-year-old Levi Whitehouse. And not only is he like he doesn't know anything about it, he has never even been to Florida. The family has never been to Florida, and it's just no way possible that he could be connected to the case. Now, also, in regards to Levi, his father states that the family has been getting a lot of death threats. Death threats to the point where he's actually moving his family. Like, he's afraid for the family's safety because a child was killed, and the people are angry, as they should be, but they have this misplaced anger. And you know how the internet community can be. It's really nothing to play with anymore because people are crazy. But he said he's taking it seriously to the point where he will be moving his family in order to keep them safe. And I just feel like that is just ridiculous that it had to come to that. And then the police, the sheriff's department and whatnot in Florida did state that Aiden is the only suspect that they have. There, nobody else seems to be involved in the case, and that Levi Whitehouse, this young boy from Tennessee, is not related to the case at all. Has nothing to do with it. Um, but that doesn't really mean much. How many people actually watch the news? People tend to believe what they see on social media over everything these days. So and two, with this paint, this is not a very good angle. Not a good angle to paint at all. But we do the best we can because I'm not as prepared as I thought I was. I'm gonna have to buy a real easel or something. Maybe if I did this at my kitchen table, it'd be easier. I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna have to do more planning for next time. But anywho, yeah, I'm just scared I'm not gonna have the picture finished by the time I finish talking because I'm painting slow. This is this is what practice is for. Because if I had practiced, then I would have known you know, how to line it up and all of that good stuff so that it went together. But anyway, you live and you learn, right? Getting back into the investigation off of the social media stuff. So the investigators did get a search warrant and to search Aiden's home, specifically his room and whatnot. They did find clothing of Aiden's that matched what they saw him wearing in the video footage from the night of Tristyn's murder. And not only did they find that clothing, but it also had blood on it. Now it takes a little time for blood, DNA testing, and things like that. So I'm sure the samples have been sent off to confirm that it is Tristyn's blood that was on his clothing. But it's just going to take a little bit of time to do that. So in the meantime, they did say that they found sufficient evidence in his home to charge him, which they did. They also said that upon review of all of a review of everything, that the charges could be upgraded to first-degree murder, and that he could be charged as an adult, which a lot of people are pushing for. There's actually a petition out that people are signing, 600,000 people or something like that have already signed this petition to have Aiden tried as an adult. And I wholeheartedly agree. I myself signed the petition because I just feel like if you are a cold-blooded murderer at 14, what are you going to be at 24, at 30? You know what I'm saying? We don't need any more crazy serial killers out here in the world. I say go on and nip it in the bud and give them life. I mean, how much rehabilitation can you do for a psychopath? And I'm not saying he's a psychopath. He's too young to, be, be diagnosed as that. I know they don't diagnose you until you're late teens, early 20s or whatever. But it's clearly something. And I just feel that if they don't go ahead and do something about him, put him in prison, he's going to do this again. I mean, and we don't know the facts of the case. But in my opinion, they said they were friends. They went to the same middle school. They lived in the same neighborhood. They were friends. I feel like he lured her out of her house. Hey, Tristyn, let's go for a walk, yada, yada. And And then he murdered her. And I feel like he specifically lured her out that evening with the intention of doing what he did. Um, that's just my opinion, though, because, like I said, we don't know the facts of the case. Um, what he has said in the investigation and interrogation and whatnot hasn't been released. He is a minor, so things have to be handled differently, and we really are going to have to wait, until they go to court to see exactly what the specifics of the case are. But in my opinion, this was a targeted attack. I don't think it was something like, oh, it was an accident and he panicked. And no, this child was stabbed a horrific amount of times, which in my mind is like 20 plus. And if you're stabbing somebody 20 plus times, the only thing you're thinking about is you're trying to kill them. And I just keep going back to him being 14 because I don't know. I don't know like what his past is, like how his childhood was or whatnot. Again, all the information hasn't been released yet. Um, but yeah, there has to be some reason. I don't know. I don't think 14-year-olds just wake up and are like, hey, I'm going to kill my friend today. Maybe it's just me, but it's just odd. But yeah. So yeah, they found the clothes in his home. They found traces of blood on it. That's being sent off to confirm that it is indeed Tristyn's blood, which we all believe it is. Also, as I said before, she was found near a pond in her neighborhood. So there was a dive team that was out there searching the pond for anything. He could have thrown the knife or whatever he used to stab her. He could have thrown it into the pond. There could be, I don't know, anything. I think what they're looking for, most importantly, would be the murder weapon, because that would be the thing that would most definitely tie Aiden to the case, if they were able to find the murder weapon. Especially if they could, prove that, like, it came from his house or something like that. That would kind of be like a slam dunk for them. And y'all, that's kind of all the information that we have right now. Like I said, the sheriff's department there is being very tight-lipped. They don't want to do anything to risk the investigation. So what we have, what we know is pretty much what's on social media. A lot of that information in and of itself is unreliable, because people, as they usually do, are speaking from opinion. And it being such a close knit community, people have taken sides. I'm not the only person that finds it hard to believe that a 14-year-old could do this to another child, especially someone that would be considered a friend. So, a lot of the community is taking that angle, but on the other side, there are lots of people that loved and cared about Tristyn as well, and they want justice for, their daughter, friend, what have you. Her older sister did finally go, well, not finally, but, people were waiting for the family to make a statement or say something. And her older sister did make a statement. It was very heartfelt, pretty much saying that they are going to, of course they love and miss her, but they are going to get justice for her one way or another. And I agree. Um, they also have a GoFundMe set up for her funeral arrangements, whatever costs are incurred from this horrible, horrible ordeal. But it's nothing that we can really do now except for to wait. Um, I will link the petition to have Aiden Fucci tried as an adult link down below. As I said, I've already signed it because this craziness to get off the streets. I urge you to do the same. Push for them to have him tried as an adult so he can get a stronger prison sentence. It's not going to do any good to anybody if he gets sent to a juvenile detention center until he's like 18 or 21 and then released. And by then he'll be a smarter, better criminal, and then we're going to have a serial killer on our hands, in my opinion. I'm also going to link down below the GoFundMe page for the family of Tristyn. If you do feel the need or feel compelled to donate, I urge you to do so. They need all the help they can get because this was a very unforeseen thing, and I don't know from experience, but I can only imagine how hard it is to bury your child. So I mean, please, send them prayers, good vibes, send them a donation if you can. But yeah. Yeah, y'all. I feel like this is boring, just like y'all watching me paint. I'm not saying anything because I've already told the story. So I'm just gonna pause for the cause, finish painting, and then let y'all see the finished product, and that'll be alright, y'all. Here's the finished product. I rushed it because it took way longer than I thought it was gonna take. Yeah, definitely need better planning for next time. But anyway, you got a basic cheerleader. I didn't do too much shading and extra, and I did leave her face blank just because it is in memoriam of Tristyn. I hope that's not cryptic. I felt it was kind of appropriate. It is still very wet, as you can probably see. But yeah, so that's it for the case. Like I said earlier, I will link down the GoFundMe page for Tristyn. I will also link the petition to have Aiden Fuji tried as an adult. Please, please, please sign that so he can be tried appropriately for the crime that he committed. And I think that's it, guys. Thank you so much for coming and chilling with me today. Like, share, subscribe. If you didn't like it, hit the dislike button. Talk shit if you need to. See you next time.